Hello and welcome to Soaking Up Life with me, Emily Atack, the show all about glorious transformations. Here I have with me, I'm so excited, TV host, DJ and author, basically there's nothing she can't do. My very good friend, Laura Whitmore. It sounds too weird saying your name so formally.
I listened to you and this is
Laura
so surreal.
Whitmore.
This is surreal.
It's Laura. It's not Laura Whitmore.
I know. Normally we're just like sitting, like, well, I was going to say in a pub somewhere in someone's house,
and also,
not a crew or a
how many bathrooms do you think we've been in together, like at parties and stuff?
Oh, like a lot. That's why, that's where you kind of have the gossip.
Yeah.
We all go for a wee together. We do our makeup together.
We went to that wedding, that last wedding we went to together. We were in the bathroom.
Wedding.
We were in the bathroom for about an hour taking pictures.
We did that thing where like, oh, this is lovely. This is a lovely Instagrammable bathroom.
I've still got
Let's
those
have a photo
videos.
shoot.
I've still got those videos on my phone.
Yeah, and the next morning you look at the camera roll, you're like, oh, we took those gorgy pictures. And then you look and you go, nope, no one will ever. That was the face.
That's the face every time.
No one will ever see those.
I know. How long do you think we've known each other? Long time. I remember first meeting you at a thing. I think we were like, I can't remember. It was like a clothes thing or something.
Oh, Pixie Lot.
Yes,
Pixie Lot had like a clothing line.
Yes, but I couldn't believe. I was so starstruck of you. You were the famous girl of MTV.
I loved you. I loved the In-Betweeners, and you were so good in it. And it was all about the boys, but you were like the strong, kick-ass woman in it.
Thank you so much.
You were a fangirl.
I was. I remember going back to my sister, going, "Oh, I met Laura Whitmore today. That really famous girl of MTV." I'm going, was that where it started?
No one watches MTV. I was like, you were the only one watching.
Was that where it started for you, MTV?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm from Ireland.
Yeah. No.
And I was just finishing my degree there, and I was working in a newsroom because my degree was in journalism, and I was working in this newsroom.
I don't know any of this.
Do you not?
No, don't think so.
No,
I know you've got a very journalistic background because you're very clever.
So, well, I'm clever. I like asking questions, and I love the idea of a newsroom. So I was working in a newsroom for a national station at home, and like news is so depressing, and I found it really, really hard, because bad things would happen, and you'd bring it into an editorial meeting, go, oh, there's been this car crash, maybe we could speak to someone.
Oh, lovely.
And then you're like, this can't be my life. I'm not that person. I'm way too sensitive.
Yeah.
So I entered a competition to be an MTV presenter, and I won that, and I said, I'll do that instead.
Oh my God. What was that like when you won the competition? How many people do you think went for it? Was it like a huge thing? Because I think then it was like the coolest job on telly.
Well, I remember like I grew up watching MTV and watching presenters like Davina McCall and Emma Willis, and once when I was about 17 or 18, I went interrailing. So we ended up in London I was in Leicester Square, and I saw this really long queue, and I didn't know what they were queuing for, but I thought they look like cool people, so I'll get in that queue because I want to see where they're going. And it was for One Leicester Square. Do you remember on TRL? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I'd no tickets, and somehow gift of the gab talked my way in, and it was Emma Willis, Alex Zane, and Dave Berry hosting, and I ended up being in the audience. And I turned to my mate and I said, I'm going to have her job. I want to do that.
Oh my God, I love that.
I entered a competition called Pick Me MTV, and that's the one I won.
Oh my God. And how old were you then?
I was 22 then.
God, it's 22.
A baby. Only a few years ago, Emily.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Was that scary moving to London?
I
feel like you wouldn't be scared by things like that.
I kind of miss my naivety. You know, I think when you start off, maybe life in many ways knocks you down a bit, or you see things, and maybe as you get older, I care less, but I definitely am more risk averse. Yeah. When I was younger, when you get opportunities, you go with it. You've less responsibility. Yeah. So when I got the job, I moved to London. I lived in not the nicest places, but I just was so happy to be getting this opportunity.
That's the fun bit about London when you first move, isn't it? You sort of live in a bit of a shithole and it's fun.
I remember, like, I won the competition, like, know where to live. And I remember traipsing around Camden Town with the A to Z, the map book.
Again, no.
Because I'm older than you.
Yeah, no, I do.
And then I remember just trying to find places. Yeah. And I remember like looking up at spare room and had this great job but nowhere to live and no money. And I remember ringing up some guy in a basement flat trying to look at a room, and he said, "Can you see Suicide Bridge? It's just past that."
Oh, lovely.
And I was like, "Oh, the bright lights of London."
Yeah.
So I came over for a year and then stayed.
You wrote an amazing book. No one can change your life except for you.
We can get into this as much as you want to, but I remember like talking about what makes the book and what doesn't make the book.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard decision because a lot of it is quite personal.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much do you want to give away?
Yes.
And your writing has to be truthful.
Totally.
And it was definitely some things I was putting in. And then I thought, this isn't the time that I speak about this.
That's what I was
And I know that you had, 'cause I even talked to my publisher and then they said, Emily had a similar situation.
I just couldn't stop speaking and I couldn't stop putting everything in.
Yeah.
And then people read it and they were like, eee.
No, but that's your truth. And I think that's really important as a writer to be able to speak that in your words.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first got the deal for the book and I thought, oh shit, I haven't got a laptop. Great start.
Did you write the whole thing on your phone?
I'd never had a laptop in my entire life. So I went to Argos and I just said, hello, can I have a laptop, please?
For my book.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, which one do you want? And I chose like the worst.
I thought you would have got a typewriter and just...
honestly, no, it might as well have been. It was like the oldest laptop you could ever imagine. It wasn't like a fancy one or anything. Yeah. And I just took it home and I put it on the table. My sister was like, what the hell's that? I said, it's my laptop. I'm going to start writing my book. And she was like, oh my God, where did you get that from? The fucking skip. Yeah. So, yeah. But I think I can imagine you being in a way better zone than me for that.
Do you know what, though? It's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah.
And it kind of came from, I had written about different issues. Like, I don't know, I find it quite helpful writing things, even if no one sees it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do in my notes.
In your notes. I've got mad shit in my notes.
Me too.
If you go through, I'm like, what the fuck am I even trying to say?
Mine are all breakup letters.
Yeah. You think you're fucking great?
Yeah.
And then, oh, buy some bananas. Like, there's like such a mixture of things in there. But I almost had these different issues I wanted to talk about and I was trying to find a way of putting them all together.
Yes.
And it was International Women's Day a few years ago. And I wrote a poem for, I love those guys all on the board. You know, when you can, on all the tube stations.
Oh, yes.
You don't get on tubes, so you don't need to worry about it.
No, yeah. I follow them on Instagram. Yes. They always write nice things about you on there.
Well, I wrote a poem for them called She.
Yes, I remember.
And
she is you.
Yeah, she is you. She is vulnerable. She is tough. She is rough. So I used each line of my poem as a chapter.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that gave me structure. And then from that. But it's nice. It's very freeing. Yes. And it's storytelling, isn't it? It's another way to tell a story. Do you find, though,
because I often find that, is there anything you regret about the book? Anything you regret putting in there? There's so much. But the papers all seem to, whenever something happens, like in my life, I mean, to be fair, I'm always in trouble doing something I shouldn't. So this happens more with me. But like they pick things out of my book
that you wrote years ago and take it out of context.
Yes, completely. Does that ever happen?
There was definitely things I wrote about that my publisher said you can't put that in.
Yes, yeah.
And experiences I had.
Does that make you want to put it in more though? I'm a bit like.
And the first big job I ever had was from a show called Pick Me MTV. Literally looking for other people to pick me.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to take control back because rather than waiting for other people to say I'm good enough to do something, is what can we do? I still have to wait for other people, but what can I do to kind of value myself a little bit more? And whether that's putting myself forward for a job, or speaking about, I remember the acting thing years ago, I auditioned for quite a big acting role for a Channel 4 show when I was like 18. And I was the last girl in Ireland brought over. There was 8 of us. I didn't get the job. And I was devastated.
Yeah.
And I moved back, well, I hadn't even moved over, but I went back. I finished my degree.
Yeah.
And then I entered the MTV competition. And I thought if I got that acting role, I wouldn't have got the MTV thing later on.
Yeah.
So I think everything happens for a reason.
Totally.
So if you don't get something, go and do something else.
It's an important thing to learn very quickly in the industry, isn't it? Can you remember the first person you interviewed? Who was the most like really?
First it was Coldplay.
Coldplay.
Yeah. So ridiculous for a first interview.
Yeah. How were they? Were they nice?
Like Chris Martin's like the nicest, sweetest person.
I fancy him a lot.
He's nice, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're taken now. Maybe not now.
Oh shit, yeah, I forgot about that.
I remember once when I was like really heavily pregnant, like 9 months pregnant, and I used to wear these big like furry coats. I'd wrap my stomach up. And I was walking down the street and some guy like was beeping his horn going, hey, how are you? Like, Danny. And I just went, I'm fucking pregnant.
Yes. Oh my God.
And he was mortified.
Well, that's the thing. I've discovered this recently, you know, before all the perverts are kind of going, oh, get your knockers out, love. And now it's like, oh, put them away. No one wants to see that.
I think pregnant women are so beautiful. It's the glow, honestly.
Even though I feel like shit, I
You look great though.
Thank you. 3 hours in hair and makeup, but I do feel like I love my bum, and I feel like it's completely changed. I mean, I'm going off topic here, but I feel like it's completely changed the way I look at my body. Completely. Like I look in the mirror now, I'm obviously so much bigger than I was, but I don't care. And my weight for me has always been a crippling worry through the industry, as we all know how hard it is as a woman, especially. But being pregnant, you just kind of go, doesn't matter.
I had a few friends saying the best they've ever felt in a bikini was when they were pregnant.
Yeah.
Because you're not worrying about bits. You're just like,
yeah.
And you realize what your body is capable of.
Yeah.
Wait till birth. That's wild.
Do you have a go-to pick-me-up routine?
Yeah, it's funny that I just see this here. Probably at the bath. And it's also my little space away from everything. Even in my own house sometimes.
Do you get that time?
Oh, like I just go to the toilet for a very long time. He's like, are you all right in there? But when I was pregnant, but I've always been a bath person. But I could be in there, I could soak in there for like an hour.
Yeah.
If I'm having a really hard day, I'll get in the bath, make it nice and bubbly. I did get a television installed. I'm so bougie. Like I've changed.
You've made it.
Like if my friends at home hear this, they'll be like, but like I had a telly put in the bathroom.
Oh God.
And then I get a Chinese takeaway.
In the bath?
In the bath. I remember there's fried rice everywhere. I was finding it in the drain for ages. Oh my
God.
And just sitting in there. That is
dumplings like floating around.
Floating about, come to me. And I got one of those things across the bath that you can put a wine glass in. I mean,
oh my God, that is so bougie. I'm gonna have to do that, aren't I? This episode is brought to you by Soap and Glory. Now, you can't think of Soap and Glory without thinking about their Clean on Me shower gel, Flake Away scrub, and Righteous body butter. Products that smell so good, you want to eat them, but don't. That sounded like I was on the Bake Off then. He's including biscuits and a butter. Right, should we have a little sniff?
I'll have a little sniff. This is the one that is fab for like this like
fake tan scrub off.
Yeah, you just want to clean a layer of like
this is the OG, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of Soap and Glory.
I just remember this has the bits in it, doesn't it? You can like scrub.
What does it smell like to you? Hello.
A funny fart noise is never not funny.
Let's get you in the bath with this, with your Chinese and your wine and your telly. You're so good at giving advice. Do you follow your own advice?
No.
No.
Like,
no.
Not at all.
No.
And especially when you feel like you don't have control over something and you're like, sometimes you need to step away.
Yeah.
And one of the best bits of advice I ever got was just like, it's really obvious, but time is such a healer.
Yes.
Don't react straight away.
Well, what's the worst piece of advice you've ever been given then?
Worst bit of advice is probably something like, get over it.
Yeah.
I believe in giving yourself time, but I think if time passes and you still feel strong about something, or if something happens and it upsets you, it's okay to feel upset.
Yeah.
And you'll probably get asked this. I'll get asked, do you have a thick skin? And I don't.
No.
Like, no one should.
No.
No one should, because we should feel
it's another
important
ridiculous standard that we have to keep up with, like having in the industry, having a thick skin.
Yeah.
But it's just so hard.
But I think it's good to be vulnerable and it's good to feel, and it makes you empathize. It makes you a good person. It makes you a good actor because you understand and you can feel and put yourself in someone else's shoes.
It's good to be sensitive, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's something you can be strong and you can be vulnerable at the same time. You can be both simultaneously.
Well, because to be vulnerable and to show vulnerability requires a strength, doesn't it?
It's so hard. There's certain things I've spoken about years later because at the time I wasn't in a headspace to do it. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if someone who hasn't lived your experience says, get over it, I just think you have to be true to yourself and feel. Yeah. It's okay to feel.
Yeah. So what is your kind of, your me time routine, if you're allowed one?
Back in the day, face plant in the pillow. There was my face looking at me the next morning.
Yeah. Eyelashes.
Eyelashes, like, there they are. It's gotten better. I think just having that routine, it's almost like meditation in a way before bed, just that ritual of like, my mum always says, cleanse, tone, moisturize.
Yes. Well, I wanted to talk to you about self-care because self-care, as you know, is something I've struggled with over the years.
No,
but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Good.
It's definitely always a work in progress, isn't it? But would you say that you're kind of getting better with it? Do you think having a child helps you with a routine a little bit more?
Yeah, but you've less self-care.
You neglect yourself a little bit.
You do, but then it's really important to have those little time to yourself,
Yes.
whatever that might be.
I think so, because, well, I was going to ask, do you feel guilty when you take time for yourself? But actually, I think it's really important to sort yourself out so that you can be
present. For everyone, for like even in job situations, sometimes you need some time in yourself to go into a situation where you're in the right headspace, whether it's like looking after a child, whether it's going into a work environment where you need to know your lines, be honest, you're there to support other people as well. But to be good at that, you have to look after yourself.
Well, that's why they say on a plane, don't they? Sort your own life jacket out first.
That's pretty much it. And it's not selfish. It means you're stronger to help others.
Yes.
So
especially when you have responsibilities, people that rely on you.
And I find that's another thing now as I get older. Because that girl in her early 20s moving to Camden, like not a care in the world, and just, going to a party, hopping on a plane.
Camden.
Can't do that now. You were Kentish Town, do you remember?
Yes.
So
we'd used to come round to my little flat.
With all the little lights everywhere.
Are you somebody who practices gratitude?
Yeah, I'm really thankful for a lot. But then that's also saying, like, sometimes it's nice just to, like, have a little rant and a moan.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. And then you have a gossip.
Gossiping these days. No, I'm getting so bad with it at my old age.
What do you know?
Honestly, in my older age, I was saying...
I'm becoming my mother, I can see it.
I do, and I start going, well, I love gossiping. It's really terrible.
My mother just rings me up and she goes, do you know who's dead now? I'm like, there's a website in Ireland called rip.ie, and I swear to God, Laura Whitmore scrolls it. It's honestly, I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are.
So... overall, like looking at your career and everything you've done so many things. Has there been like a standout moment where you've sat there and gone, oh my God, I feel like I've really kind of completed some goals here, or a moment where you go, because I think for me, I was in the jungle and I sat there with Harry Redknapp and John Barrowman. It was the final. And we were eating, having the Last Supper, the winning, the final
nice meal. The nice meal.
And I think for me, that was a moment where I just looked around me. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This is amazing. And then I got off the plane from Australia and I knew my life was going to be so different from then on. That for me was kind of like a transformation.
Do you remember I was with you, I think the night before you flew out to Australia, you dressed as Britney Spears in red. Were you like...
It doesn't narrow it down.
It was the Halloween party and you had like this red all-in-one.
Yes,
and
I've just been told that I was doing it.
I feel like you were just flying out really soon or something, and I was just like, oh, this is going to change everything.
And
you get to be yourself because you always play a character. And it was like, people will see Emily.
Yeah, and I knew my life was going to be so different, and it opened so many doors. What was like a point for you, do you think?
There's kind of been a few different ones. I think
it comes in little
stages,
and
you don't realise it is one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the MTV thing was mad because I was working as an intern in a radio station newsroom.
Yeah.
And it was quite wild because I didn't tell anyone. And then I won this competition. And then I'm on telly interviewing Coldplay. And I could see the people I was working with going, is that the girl who used to make us coffee? What is she doing there? So that was surreal. And then even I went from working with MTV to then when I was working on I'm a Celebrity doing the ITV2 show.
Yeah.
Was my first big live gig. And I think I was doing a live link with Ant and Dec.
Yeah.
And then when I did the Brit show, and I did the Brit show, and Ant and Dec had come off stage. Yeah. And they were talking to me, and I was with Ed Sheeran and Cara Delevingne.
And you go, oh, yeah, you just kind of, and then it catches you, doesn't it? You go, oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. This is it. But it's so important to kind of soak up that
But I get sad because I think I don't realise it till afterwards.
Of course, until it becomes a memory.
Yeah. And I'm like, and that's what I hope I'm more present now, and I'm trying to enjoy what I'm doing at the moment. Even, for the first time we were in the jungle, or when like I was in the Love Island villa, I'm like, oh, I've seen this on telly and now I'm here. Yeah. It's really surreal.
Yeah.
So
and
surreal.
It does. And people always ask that. They sort of say with the jungle, they go, does it feel like you're sort of in the telly? And I thought, well, no, I'm not really going to say that. And then actually when I got in there, I was like, oh my God, I'm in the telly. It does. It did really feel like that. Yeah. Did Love Island feel like that for you? Or was it just kind of?
Yeah, it's weird because it's always, I guess because you're used to studios or sets sometimes. Even like with Celeb Juice.
Yes.
Because first time I went to Celeb Juice, I was sitting in the audience because I love that show. Yes. And then you're a team captain. Yeah. And the same with shows like Love Island, and you're in the villa.
And they're the biggest shows on telly. Yeah. And you're like, oh God, I'm at the helm of it. What are they doing? Do they know?
But there's always a million things going on in your head at the same time. I remember being I'd just given birth and I was in the Love Island villa and we were doing the coupling up that takes hours to film, but it's obviously quicker on telly. And the whole time, even though I'm in this like this huge event's taking place, I was like, my boobs are getting fucking massive. I was like, we need to like, I was like, just pick who you're coupling up with. I was like, the whole time. So there's other things going on in your head.
Yeah.
And just even to come back to where we are now, like just soaking it all up, like whatever situation you're in.
Soaking it all up. I love that. I love that you've used the...
But it is, it's trying to like enjoy the situation that you're in. Because sometimes you're so nervous or you're on, like, I've definitely been in jobs, like when I first started working Love Island, I was on survival mode because it happened so quick and I was trying to navigate this really surreal, horrible situation that I was just trying to be like, I just need to get through this. And I do want to get to a stage where, you know, you're actually in a space where you can soak it on up because you've got one life, age is a privilege. And I plan to be here for a long time. But I think to do that, you need to enjoy and soak it all up.
Thank you very much, Laura Whitmore. Thank you very much.
Next time, can we do this in the bath?
Yes, definitely. No men allowed. It's so pretty. And thank you, audience, for watching Soaking Up Life with me, Emily Atack. And remember, soak up life.